Next, from Springfield, we talked to Sean Nelson, the Executive Director of the Illinois YMCA Youth and Government Program, a leadership development program that immerses high school students in a mock Illinois state government. Later, we talked to 4 high school students and get their thoughts on the benefits of the program. This runs about 25 minutes.
Sean Nelson, thanks for joining us on the Illinois Channel. Illinois Youth and Government is a program that brings students from around the state of Illinois into the state capitol, where they have like a model government. Some are lawmakers, some are the governor, and different positions, so that they really learn by doing in a way. How long have you been involved in it? And if you can give us the big picture, what's the overall purpose of the program?
Sure. I've been involved, this is my 4th year. We also have a judicial program, so kids also argue cases in the Supreme Court. So the purpose of the program is really to democracy. We feel democracy must be learned by each generation. We want these kids to understand youth government and become better leaders and become better educated about state government in a nutshell. And also our judicial program, we want kids to understand how the appellate court system works, how to argue cases, how to write bench memos. It's a very immersive, hands-on program of state government and the judicial process of Illinois.
What kind of feedback do you get from the students that go through this?
I'm just going to say we have a 96% return rate from when they start as freshmen or sophomores. So the kids stay in it, they stay involved, they stay passionate. It never ceases to amaze me, because on paper, something as boring sounding as Illinois YMCA Youth and Government, it sounds awful. They love it, they have fun, they stay in it, they become impassioned from it. And I really think we're really helping create some better future leaders, some really great future leaders. You talk to some of the students involved in this program, and instead of feeling like, oh man, our state's in big trouble, the kids today, because the cell phones and instant gratification, instant information. Now we're in great hands with these kids. Our future leaders in this program are very capable and very wonderful and very educated and very passionate.
And I would argue, having covered government, that a lot of people, some people want to go into government. That's fine. We need people to go into government. On the other hand, if you're going to be a dentist or a doctor or a trash man, you need to have some understanding of how American democracy works and what the mechanics are. I would imagine this lays a pretty good foundation of understanding of at least how government functions.
Oh, completely. It really is hands-on. It's immersive. They really know how a bill is introduced from start to finish. They realize the politics of supporting other bills and getting a contingency of support from around them and from their peers. They really learn politics.
How many schools are involved, and are you looking for more schools to become involved? And lastly, if a school hears this and says, I'd like our kids to be able to participate, what's involved?
Yeah, we have about 50 schools, 42 delegations. We have some YMCA delegations with multiple schools involved. So about 50 high schools from across the state. Yes, we're looking for more schools. We're always looking to grow this program. We want as many people as possible to go through this program to kind of help Illinois' future and create as many future great leaders as we can. But we're really targeting smaller schools in rural areas where we're not represented. We call them our desert areas of the state. We're targeting certain schools that are just not represented, like very southern part of the state, kind of the Gateway corridor around St. Louis, the western part of the state, northwest part of the state. So we have pockets of the state that don't have delegations that we don't think are represented, and that's kind of our target zones.
Is there a cost to the school, to the students, or how does that work?
Yeah, there is a cost. It's a fee-based program, so students pay for themselves. Some schools charge a little more than what we charge the school for the program to cover busing and any incidentals. But we're a YMCA, we're a 501c3, so we don't turn anyone from the ability to pay. So if anyone can't afford the program, we actually have a sliding scale that we use to scholarship kids, and we haven't turned anyone away for 3 years and been able to honor, thanks to our fundraisers and our donors, honor every scholarship request for 3 years running. So.
And if they want more information, where can they get it?
You can visit our website, or you can call us directly. We're Illinois YMCA Youth and Government. Very easy to find. If you Google search us, it comes up pretty quick. And also, you're welcome to call us or email me directly. We're easy to find. So not too many organizations called named what we are. So we're pretty easy to find.
Sean Nelson, thank you.
Thank you so much. It was really nice of you.
Welcome to Springfield. And as you are here for the YMCA Youth and Government, let's begin by just telling us a bit why you're participating in this program and what do you hope to get out of it. Tricia, let's start with you.
Well, this year I'm going to be serving as the youth governor for the state of Illinois, which is really exciting. And I think the Youth and Government program, what it does really well is it promotes civic engagement in youth. And when we talk about civic engagement, we're really talking about involving youth in a process that is both political and non-political, but comes back to this idea of bettering our communities. So students that come to the Youth and Government program have an opportunity over the weekend to really understand all elements of the legislative, judicial, and executive branches at the state level and how they work to influence the way we live our lives as Illinois citizens. So as a governor, I'm really excited to be able to take over the executive branch, to be able to lead, and to be able to work with these students who have worked so hard all year to bring their legislation down to Springfield and kind of help make their dreams come true.
So, as Chief Justice this year, I am honored to serve in this position because I believe that not a lot of students know the important role of the judiciary and the government and all the important factors of judicial review and how important that is in formulating laws and all of that going into place. Also, it's really important that students know what they can do as citizens to be engaged in their communities and change policy and local policy even at the state level. So I think that Youth and Government really gives students an idea of what they can do as citizens as well.
I'm Ryan, and I'm the Lieutenant Governor, and the reason I'm in it mostly is not to do anything major and make any laws or anything, because I don't want to go into politics as a future, but I definitely wanted to make friends and connect with people, and that's something the club has really helped me do, is be able to speak in front of people and make a lot of friends. I have a lot of close friends because I joined this club.
My name is Eunice, and this year I'm serving as a Secretary of State. And for me, I'm not very political outside of Youth and Government, but what Youth and Government, the program, does very well is involve students who are all sorts of levels and interest in politics. Like even those who are very, very, very interested in politics, they can find something and are able to use all their skills. People who are not interested in politics, even then, they can work on their speaking abilities. They can meet with people and connect with people all over Illinois. And I think that's really, very interesting and pretty fantastic. And the program also acts as a way to show students that they are able to affect this world and nation. Even on the state level that we work on, you're able to make an impact on people, and you can show your influence to everyone around you, including youth and adults. And I think that's very important in this kind of political climate.
Eunice, let me start off with you and ask, thus far, you're down here in Springfield. You're going to be spending a number of days in the state capitol in this model government program. Have you already become engaged and have you learned anything thus far in the program, or are you looking forward to learning something?
I've been in this program for the past 4 years. So I definitely have learned a lot. Entering in as a freshman, I didn't really know much but anything, including politics. But as these 4 years have happened, I've gotten super interested in, which is why I ran last year to be Secretary of State. So I think in these past 4 years, I have learned a lot about politics, about how to speak in front of people, public speaking, and just being able to connect with people, like I said, all over the world, state. But even this year, I am looking forward to what I will learn even more. I know that this year I have my own responsibilities, so being able to carry out these responsibilities and skills and meet people all over, people who are freshmen to seniors again, being able to meet with these people, I'm very excited to do so.
I'm going to be honest, freshman year, I didn't really know anything about government at all. But this club starts you from the ground up, and I came in not knowing anything, but I had the interest, and that's what was key to my development through the club. I was interested in politics, and so I joined, and they teach you everything from like how bills are passed to how bills go through the House and the Senate and how they're signed by the governor, and also the whole other side with the judicial, and there's the LA Forum, and whole bunch of stuff where I wouldn't know anything or as much as about government as I do now because of this club. And the other thing is that, like I said earlier, I know how to speak in front of people a lot better because I joined this club. It allowed me to branch out and meet people from across the state and really know how to talk to people that I don't know.
So I think for me, what Youth and Government has done is, when I first joined the club, my interest was really at the national level, right? I knew a lot about national government, which, captures a lot of headlines. You hear a lot about what's happening in Washington, but you don't hear a lot about what's happening in Springfield. At least that's not what the focus is. And so what Youth and Government did is it gave me an opportunity to really engage at the state level when it comes to government, because at the end of the day, that is closer to home, and it does really affect the way that we live. And it's important to be able to understand the processes, what's happening down here, what the politics is like with our governor, with the state and the House, like Ryan mentioned. Just learning about that at the state level, that was something that Youth and Government really did for me. I think the other thing that Youth and Government really did is it gave me the ability to kind of work with individuals that have different viewpoints. Something that I've kind of learned as a servant leader is it's important to be really deep in your convictions, but humble in your speech. And Youth and Government has really taught me to be able to communicate and work with individuals who may differ from me, whether that's on the political spectrum or even in the way that we think something should be implemented. But the fact that I'm able to have those conversations, to be able to agree to disagree, to be able to walk away as friends, even after we have really important, deep conversations about really pressing issues that are facing our state and our nation, I think that's, a skill that everyone needs to have. And so I think it's really fantastic that I was able to develop that in the club.
I think Youth and Government has really taught me humility, to the point of none of us really do have the legal background or the education to fill any of the positions that we are playing a role in this simulation of government, yet we're kind of thrown into these positions and are expected to carry out these roles. So we do make mistakes, and we learn that it's okay to make those mistakes as long as we follow those mistakes with research and education and advisors here to guide us. So that's really what it's taught me, and it's taught me to rely on my peers as well as myself. Making connections with other people have allowed me to further understand what I can do and my potential as a student in government.
Let me ask a follow-up question of you all. As you have gone through this program and everything you've just said, to what extent, if any, have you started to follow what's happened in state government over the years? And has this changed your worldview about what's important, or perhaps what kind of a career you think you might pursue?
So I think before I joined the Youth and Government program, I was not really engaged when it came to state government. And this is coming from someone who knows that I definitely want to serve as, an elected public official when I grow up. But I heard a lot about what was happening in Washington. I heard a lot about national elections. Springfield never really captured my attention because it was never the major headlines. It wasn't what I watched when I went home and saw the news on TV. So when I joined Youth and Government, I started to do more research about what was happening in Springfield, what lawmakers, what their perspectives were on different bills, who was my representative, who are the state senators that are down there that are working on different issues. And so kind of learning a little bit more about, government at the state level, that's definitely something that happened to me when I joined the Youth and Government program. I think the other thing that really happened was I started to focus in a lot on youth voices and how youth can help influence what's happening at the state level. So a lot of the bills that are, being passed in Springfield have a lot to do with how we're living as teenagers, whether that has to do with education or safety or health. And so we have a voice as Illinois citizens, as Illinois teenagers, and we kind of have a duty as citizens to be able to go down there and express our opinions, especially when so many teenagers in Illinois are just a few years away from being able to vote. So from a personal perspective, in the future, I definitely know that I want to be an elected public official, but unlike my earlier years when I knew I wanted to be that, I'm not really sure that I want to leave Illinois to do that anymore. I think a lot of kids who grow up here are so excited to go to Washington or to move to another state. But I because of this program, I recognize that Illinois has so much going for it, and it's important that we have talented individuals stay at home to work to build the communities that are here, because these citizens matter, the issues in the state matter, and we all have a responsibility, I think, as teenagers, to be able to give back to a state that has done so much for us.
Well, I'd have to say, like I said, I didn't know much about government before this club. I'd see a news article pop up, and it would be about new legislator coming through, about something or another, and I'd sort of just pass it by. But ever since I got into this club, I really see through what's happening in the U.S. government, whether that's state or federal. I really got to know how malleable government truly is, because it's always changing. Everything that's going on right now is the government changing and improving, and some people would say not improving. But the point is that I myself can have an impact on that change, and so can other people. And while I don't really want to go into a career of politics, that means I can go vote, and that's a huge step towards changing our government for the better.
I'm also in a similar vein where I didn't care about politics a lot my freshman year, but also what happened in my freshman year was for the Youth and Government program, I was a legislative assistant, and one of the tasks that you have to do is that you have to make your own proposal on a topic. And what my topic was how to fix Illinois' corruption. And at the time, I didn't really know even if Illinois was corrupt, and that was something I researched like the whole year, and something that I studied, and eventually I did win with that proposal, which was very, very cool as a freshman winning something, and so I really enjoyed that. And with that, you just explore more about state government. I think the federal government is more eye-catching. It has a lot more the clickbait articles. When you see all these big events are happening, that these smaller events that happen at state level don't capture as much attention, especially to us teens. Which also brings me to my point that I believe that this program is essential to improving that teens do have a voice. I know I was talking with one of my friends once, and they mentioned what is more dangerous to democracy right now. Is it terrorism or is it apatheticness? And I think that although both of them are extremely dangerous, that idea that apathy can be so venomous is very important, and we have to make sure that doesn't happen. We have to make sure that as youth, that we do care about the government, that we can't let issues that we see, we can't just let it fly past. We also can't join this mob mentality of this agreeing with what everyone else is agreeing. We have to be able to think for ourselves, and maybe that's having your own thoughts that are different from what everyone else is thinking. But at the same time, I think that it's essential for us as teens growing up who are going to be adults in this world. And personally for me, I don't plan on going into politics as a major or as my career of choice, but I do see how essential it is. And I do intend on carrying it with this experience with me as an adult.
So this club has really empowered me politically, to the fact I never really thought of reaching out to my state representatives, but after my involvement in this club, I did, and I really it really opened my eyes to see how receptive they were and how much they valued student opinions and perspectives on issues that were, relevant to youth. And through this, I have realized the power of advocacy, student advocacy and awareness events, and the power of campaigning, and these things really do matter. And the state level, local policy, and things that are really close to home really do affect the citizens and the communities that we live in. So youth and government really definitely has changed my perspective on local governments and the power that citizens do have.
And then let's say a last question, and we'll go ahead and start with you, Rick. Yeah. If people are listening to this, whether they're students or maybe schools who haven't joined the program, would you, one, recommend it? And I think on one hand, maybe we've already learned some of the things that you've told us you all have learned, but I presume, too, you're probably all going to recommend it. So why would you recommend it, that people join?
So youth and government is by far the best thing that I've done in high school thus far, in that it's improve my confidence, my ability to speak in front of large crowds of people, and debate and argue matters that, again, that you have to agree to disagree about a lot of them, because a lot of people are very politically charged and are very opinionated. It's also, it honestly teaches you to be an active citizen and be aware of your community, and which is so important in this day and age with so much going on in our news and with foreign policy and all these things. So I totally recommend it to any student, prospective student, or any school that is trying to implement the program.
Well, as my dad always likes to say, you don't know what you're good at until you try. And I think the Youth and Government program really serves as a symbol of students coming together to participate in something that really takes them out of their comfort zone. You really have to engage with students in a way you never had before. You have to consider issues you don't always think about. You have to debate, you have to discuss, you have to put yourself out there, you have to put your ideas out there. And I think getting out of your comfort zone is a really important skill that every student and every school should really deeply engage with. For me personally, as the governor this year, this marks the first female governor the state of Illinois has had for the Youth and Government program in 28 years. And so for me, it's a little bit of getting out of my comfort zone to be a female governor. But it's empowered me. It's taught me that I'm capable of something that I didn't think I was capable of when I first joined this program, even as I had aspirations to be a governor. So I think it's really important that, schools and students, if you're listening, really consider the things that you grow from the most are the things you didn't think you were capable of doing, but then you did them. And you learned so much about yourself and what you were capable of in the process. So when you join Youth and Government, yes, you're learning a lot about government. You're learning a lot about politics. You're learning a lot about the people that you're interacting with. But you're also learning a lot about yourself. And in high school, which is, a very transformative 4 years, Youth and Government is possibly the best program that I've participated in which I've grown, in which I've learned about who I am and what I want to be and what I'm capable of. And I think as a high school student, there's no better feeling than feeling empowered. And that's what Youth and Government is to me.
I'm one of those kids that is in about 12 clubs last time I counted, and yeah, I have no time, but this is definitely, Youth and Government is my favorite club. And the reason is that in Youth and Government, everyone gets to be themselves. And yeah, you can be yourself in other clubs, but especially in Youth and Government, you're encouraged to be yourself. You're encouraged to run for things. You're encouraged to give your opinion. You're encouraged to make a statement about how you think things should be. And that's all Youth and Government is about, is being yourself and showing everyone else what you can do. And you also make a lot of friends, and you also feel like you're making a change, and you also learn about how the world works, because we all live in the United States, and government basically is in our lives every day. And the fact that I can learn all about that and be myself and improve so much as an individual all in one club, that's why Youth and Government is my favorite club.
I would totally recommend Youth and Government as a program, and I think one of the reasons why is also how it stimulates the actual state government. I've been a part of other government clubs, but none of them have actually so in-depthly involved the students into what's actually happening in real life, actually having a legislative branch and a judicial branch, actually having campaigns and elections. My freshman year, it kind of amazed me at how realistic it was. I mean, not that I'm actually part of the state government, but it was amazing to see how political it was, how in-depth it seemed, how realistic everything was, and also how serious all the students were in this program. And that's why I would also recommend it to basically everyone. I know everyone had mentioned a lot of important parts in the of you were able to be yourself, and a program like Youth and Government it also resembles in you can get as much out of it as you put into it. You can pour in the minimum if you really want to, and you still get an experience of going to the Capitol building. But at the same time, if you pour a lot into it, you put your heart into it, like I think all four of us have, you're able to get so much out of it. You're able to actually get a position and be able to lead a group of students, and that's something that I don't think a lot of other programs offer you to do. And the idea of being able to do kind of what you want to do. have your own choices, be your own person, meet who you want to meet, and talk about the issues that you really are passionate about. I think that is something that not a lot of programs can have.
Well, thank you all very much.
Thank you.